Welcome back to the channel. This is the Battle of Maritsa, 1371. This is the death of the Serbian Empire. We all remember when they were around. This was a request, so I'm doing it now. And we're going to do it together. I'm watching a video over here of a guy, and he doesn't like spiders, and he's freaking out. So it was very entertaining, but I got to make some vids. I got to let that money roll in that's not rolling in. So let's, you know.
In the fall of 1352, returning to his country from Byzantium after a short military campaign, Suleiman Pasha, the son of the Ottoman Bey Orhan, set out to plunder the territories of his former ally, John VI Kantakouzenos. Although only a month earlier the Ottomans had aided Kantakouzenos in the Byzantine Civil War and had won a major victory at the Battle of Demotica, they decided to take advantage of the destabilized Eastern Roman Empire and captured the castle of Simpe. 2 years later, after a strong earthquake that hit Thrace and damaged many fortifications, the Ottomans captured the strategically important city of Gallipoli. Soon, many smaller castles in Thrace were also conquered. By controlling this area, the Ottomans could now cross into Europe without the help of the Byzantine fleet. Although most contemporaries did not see this event as particularly important, it had a huge impact on the future Ottoman expansion in the Balkans and Europe. If you ever get tired hearing about tyrannical rulers, whip out your phone and start Raid Shadow Legends and play as none other than the tyrant himself. Easiest build to solo Spider 20, Ice Golem 20 and Dragon 20. Tune him in, life himself was another regional player who interfered in the Byzantine Civil War. In his desire to conquer Constantinople and replace the Byzantine Empire with a Serbian one, he understood the dangers posed by the well-organized Ottoman crossing into Europe. He turned to diplomacy, sending envoys to the Pope and asking for his support, offering to convert from Orthodoxy to Catholicism in return, and promising to start a crusade against the Ottomans to drive them out of Europe. For the Pope, this was a handsome proposition. Under Dushan's rule, the Serbian Empire had become the dominant power in the Balkans. Himself an experienced warrior and knight, Dushan's army, comprised of lance-armed light and heavy cavalry, plus infantry, was known throughout Europe. It was clear that Serbia could become a powerful bulwark against Muslim expansion. The Pope agreed. With papal approval, Dushan succeeded in reducing the pressure on the northern and western borders of...
Question. When did the Pope Hey, would you stop? When did the Pope get out of the business of like encouraging wars? When did the Pope kind of say, hey, let's not do that. Let's just do Pope stuff. Let's not try to encourage conquering and stuff like that. When did they become the Pope of today? I was just asking.
Serbia, and could now devote his attention to the Ottomans. However, in December 1355, Emperor Dushan the Mighty suddenly died, aged just 46. His young son, Uros the Weak, became the new emperor.
What a terrible name.
Mere months after Dushan's death, the weakening of the Serbian Empire was evident. Nikiforos II Orsini, a renegade Byzantine noble, invaded and occupied Thessaly, while Dushan's own brother Simeon refused to serve under the late emperor's son, Uros, and even proclaimed himself as emperor. Since Uros did not respond to this invasion, nor take any action to regain his influence in the rebellious provinces,
Well, he was the weak. Of course he's not going to do anything. He's probably going, oh, they'll go away on their own, guys. It's fine. Let's just have some sandwiches.
The rest of Serbian nobility sensed the emperor's weakness. While his father ably solved similar problems with quick and decisive campaigns, Oros lacked the same strategic brilliance and could only observe as these events unfolded. Once Simeon consolidated his position in the south, Oros tried using his legitimacy to sway the most powerful Serbian nobles to his side in order to stabilize the country. His first choice was Prince Vojislav Vojinović. However, Vojislav took advantage of this situation to increase his reputation and expand his fiefdom. He often acted without the emperor's permission, and sometimes completely against Oros's interests. Not having the strength to confront him, Oros remained silent, not wanting to lose one of his most powerful supporters. The rest of the
If he's doing that to you, he's not a supporter.
Serbian nobility, not wanting to come into direct conflict with the emperor, formally recognized Oros's rule, but did not respect his authority in practice. Internal power-grabbing and infighting grew, and the Serbian empire that Dushan built was gradually fragmented into smaller regional principalities without a strong central government. In the meantime, Murad I inherited the Ottoman throne. As soon as he came to power, he launched an offensive in Thrace in 1363. Under his skillful leadership, many important Byzantine cities fell into Ottoman hands, among them the strategically important city of Adrianople. Not long after, the Sultan moved his capital from Bursa to Adrianople and continued his policy of consolidating Ottoman positions in the Balkans. However, problems in the east forced Murad to cross back into Anatolia, during which time his commanders continued their campaign along the Maritsa River and captured Philippopolis from Bulgaria.
I love the
With
names.
these conquests, the Ottoman territories in Thrace were no longer just a bridgehead into Europe, but a strong base that threatened the wider region and Constantinople itself. Meanwhile, the Balkan states lacked internal unity to respond to the Ottoman consolidation. Byzantium was all but paralyzed after a series of devastating civil wars. Ivan Shishman of Bulgaria was busy struggling to prevent the rulers of the despotates of Vidin and Dobruja from breaking away from the empire. Uras of Serbia, meanwhile, failed to control the powerful nobility. Worse, once Vojislav Vojinović and some of the other nobles from the time of Dushan's rule died around 1363, the emperor was left without the protection of the most powerful princes in the land. Brothers Vukashin and Ugiesha of the Mrnjavčević dynasty took advantage of the weakening central government to expand their realm and strengthen their position within Serbia through marriages with other noble families. Worse still, once it became known that Emperor Oros could not have children, he made Vukashin his co-emperor and his son Marko the heir to the throne. Oros hoped that this would solve the issue of succession and that having the most powerful family on his side would help preserve the empire. But instead of stabilizing the state, many Serbian nobles, primarily those in the north, were furious that someone outside of the Nemanjić dynasty was chosen to rule. Vukashin continued to expand his lands further at the expense of other Serbian lords, taking the capital of Skopje and many other important cities. Emperor Oros, by now fearful of the ambitious Vukashin, switched sides and allied himself to a certain Prince Lazar and Nikola Altamanović. The area of Kosovo became the site of numerous battles that saw the consolidation of power of Oros's coalition in the north and Vukashin's dominion in the south. However, the Northern Coalition was dealt a heavy defeat in 1369, with the Serbian Emperor Oros captured by the victorious Vukashin, who now aimed to replace the Nemanjić dynasty and become the absolute ruler of Serbia. The Serbian Empire was well and truly imploding. But troubling news came from the east. The Ottomans by now gained full control over most of Thrace. Their raids penetrated deep into neighboring countries, crossing the Balkan Mountains into Bulgaria to the north, and pushing west into Ugiesha's Serez region. Most importantly, the rich Orthodox monasteries on Mount Athos were pillaged, which provided vast amounts of gold for the Ottoman war effort. Despot Ogiesha had success against the Ottomans, but did not have the troops to single-handedly stop the incursion. To this end, he attempted to establish close cooperation with the Byzantine emperor, but these negotiations failed to bear fruit. With nowhere else to turn to, in 1371, Ugiesha demanded aid from his brother, Vukašin, who immediately raised his camp at Skadar and marched east. He had already raised an army of 15,000 troops in preparation for another invasion of Nikola Altomanovich's territories. Unsurprisingly, the northern Serbian nobles refused to take part in the campaign against the Ottomans. Moreover, they hoped to see Vukašin defeated or at least weakened, which would allow them time to rebuild their armies and again push south. Once Vukašin joined forces with his brother at Ceres, their combined host now numbered some 20,000 troops. They advanced into Ottoman territory with the goal of capturing the capital, Edirne. If the city were to fall to Serbian hands, the other Ottoman strongholds in the Balkans would become easy targets. The timing of the invasion was excellent, as Sultan Murad was campaigning in Asia Minor with most of his troops and could not arrive in time to defend the capital. Making matters worse for the Ottomans, Gallipoli was retaken by the Byzantines, so transporting the troops to the Balkans would have been a difficult proposition. After a long march, the Serbian army reached the Maritsa River on September 25, 1371, where they stopped to rest and prepare for the attack on Edirne.
Alright, here we go.
The Serbian army rested on the left bank of the Maritsa River near the village of Chernomen. Considering the long forced march from Skadar, the soldiers were exhausted and most went to sleep early. King Vukašin and Despot Ugiesha also rested with their retinues in the center of the camp, surrounded by the tents that housed their personal troops and their most powerful and loyal vassals. Confident in the strength of their army and knowing that there were no Ottoman forces in Europe that could oppose them, the Serbian commanders did not pay particular attention to reconnaissance and the setting up of watchtowers in the surrounding area to spot any enemy movements. Worse, few, if any, guards were posted along the perimeter. The security of the camp was lax, to say the least. As night fell, the clamor amongst the tents quieted down. No one in the Serbian army realized that they were being watched by the Ottoman scouts. Having observed the enemy for some time, they sent reports to their commander about the situation in the Serbian camp. Lala Sahin Pasha, the Beyla Bey of Rumelia, was lurking nearby with his detachment. He and his officers opted for a bold course of action. Instead of waiting for the enemy army behind the walls of Edirne and enduring a long siege, the Ottoman commander decided to use the cover of darkness to strike the Serbs with a sudden night attack. With around 1,000 men at his disposal, Lala Sahin Pasha slowly crept up to the enemy. He divided his troops into smaller units and deployed them near the key entry points of the Serbian camp. Then, he waited. Just before
what? What happened?
Just before first light, the Ottoman commander gave the order. Many Turkish horsemen carried 2 torches to create the illusion that their numbers were greater than they actually were. The few Serbian guards who did spot the attack were quickly overwhelmed and had little to no time to raise the alarm. The Ottomans broke into the camp and caused general confusion among the enemy army. Few in number, Lala's men could only advance slowly as they caught the many thousands in their sleep, while some managed to join the fight but barely had time to react. With no time to put on their armor nor pick up their weapons, many Serbian soldiers could only take cover. The Ottomans achieved a total element of surprise. Much of the Serbian army on the opposite side of the camp were yet to realize that an attack was even taking place. Instead, some of the nobles assumed that the noise was created by a small skirmish intended to deprive the Serbian troops of sleep. But as the hours progressed, the Ottomans made their way deeper and deeper into the camp.
If this was the king, the first king, the one who died off, and then there was all the infighting, if this was his military group, would the Ottomans still have attacked as they did, or did they had to burp, or would they have respected him a little bit more as a better leader? Because with all the infighting, I would think that you're really not. They're just weakening themselves. So, just curious.
As they inched closer to the tents of King Vukašin, Despot Ogiesha, and the other key nobles, confusion and panic continued to spread among the Serbian soldiers. Serbian heavy cavalry did not have time to mount their horses and regroup to charge, and most of those who offered resistance were dismounted. Despot Ogiesha, as an honorable knight and warrior, charged the approaching Ottomans in a desperate attempt to stop their advance through the camp. But unable to gather a large enough number of soldiers around him, he died fighting. On the other hand, Vukašin fled with a part of the army towards the river Maritsa, now believing that the main Ottoman army had actually struck the camp. Amazingly, no one in the Serbian leadership had realized that they actually outnumbered the Ottomans about 20-1. Trying to escape with his life, Vukašin proceeded to cross the Maritsa in the darkness. But both he and most of his retinue drowned while trying to reach the opposite bank. The Ottoman advance continued, and they pushed the rest of the panicked Serbian army towards the Maritsa River. Some were cut down by Ottoman sabers, while others drowned in the river. But much of the fleeing troops did manage to escape the carnage. However, most of Serbia's noblemen present at the battlefield perished. The defeat at Maritsa had catastrophic consequences. With the death of Serbia's two most powerful princes, the realm's southeastern border was more vulnerable than ever. Worse, Emperor Uros died just a few months later, and with him went the last remaining central authority of the Serbian Empire. According to some, for the Ottomans the victory at Maritsa was when the way into Europe was truly opened. Sultan Murad could now consolidate his hold over the southeastern Balkans without much opposition. Moreover, with the Christian kingdoms severely weakened, the Ottomans could raid deep into enemy territory with impunity, and the rich plunder in turn motivated an ever-growing number of warriors from across Anatolia to come and join Murad's ranks, greatly swelling his army. It would be another 18 years before a new Christian coalition formed to stop the Ottoman expansion at the Battle of Kosovo in 1389, which we covered on our channel. Click up here to check it out.
Yeah, there's a lot that I feel like I didn't understand, other than 20,000 people ran away from 1,000 people. But, you know, look, a forced march, the troops just want to go to sleep. I'm not saying that Murad and his men knew that they had done that march, but if he did, great on him, perfect time. But to have been there, especially to have been there after that forced march, and to have just taken advantage and just got in there, didn't have many people awake. Excuse me, didn't have a lot of people awake, because you're trying to just rest everyone up. That's I would say there was a lot of luck on the Ottoman side. But in war, luck never hurts you. You know, you take it when you can get it. This is a good one. I feel like I missed, you know, there's some stuff that I missed. But the Serbian infighting, I mean, you could just pick a country where a king dies, and it's a lot of times it's like that. But this is good. I enjoyed it. But I'm going to end this here. Like and subscribe. And I don't know. Something amazing just came out of my mouth right now.